Dead by Daylight has been out for 9 years, and from a general point of view, it's doing better than a good amount of other games that are nearly a decade old. However, with so many killers, survivors, and constant balance changes, it begs the question, what does the future of Dead by Daylight look like? In this video, I'll be talking about the future of Dead by Daylight in a general sense, and what might keep the game alive for years to come. I'll also be talking a bit about the new chapter that is to come out on the 23rd of September. I'm probably releasing this video a good few days after the updates actually come out, but it is what it is. Anyway, as of now, Dead by Daylight is in a unique place, I'd say. One of the longest running asymmetrical horror games with up to 40 killers as of the 22nd of September, which is when I'm recording this, and a massive library of survivors with perks to offer. The meta has shifted countless times and behaviour continues to rework old mechanics to try and keep things fresh. However, with a game that is coming up to a decade old, the community becomes split. Some players like me will say the game is in a decent state, while other players will say that the game is in a worse state, and that something needs to be done to fix that. So what has behaviour got planned next? According to the most recent roadmap, behaviour is focused on reworks, perk overhauls, and improving the matchmaking system. We know more killers and survivors are already on the way. Some are original, some are licensed. However, the developers have promised more quality of life changes to reduce frustration around tunneling, camping, and matchmaking wait times, which is why they delayed their next chapter. In fact, they have a new killer and survivor coming out on the 23rd. The killer is called the Kraus, I don't know if I'm saying that right, a horrifying figure from Thai folklore being introduced in the Sinister of Grace chapter, which is the one coming out on the 23rd. The Kraus has a unique power where she can detach her disembodied organ dangling ahead to move faster and attack with her internal organ whip, while her body remains behind. Survivors can cleanse the infection, however, through eating glowing fungus which appears on the map, similar to like let's say Nemesis and other people like that. The new survivor is a woman called V Bunyasak, who is of Thai origin. Also, to put it simply, she's an energetic drummer whose adventurous nature led her to a doomed concert, which is what's said in the lore, or as we know it, a doomed concert where the entity took her, essentially. Her perks allow her to leverage repair, work into faster healing, strengthen allies' abilities to repair and heal, and recover from exhausted perk faster. Essentially, the exhausted after you use the perk, that'll come back faster, essentially. That's basically the perk summed up simply. Even though chapter 37 isn't licensed, it still looks pretty interesting, and I can imagine people will be using the exhaustion reduction perk a lot when it comes out. I also think the new killer will get a decent amount of play when she comes out too. Now, if we have a look at the official roadmap for year 10, we can see that we are in September right now, so we'll be getting a new rift soon. However, as I mentioned before, the next chapter is delayed. It has been delayed until January of 2026 as they have decided to prioritize quality of life over the releasing of content for the game. I think that's a good decision personally, considering what has happened within these past months. So for the rest of the year, we'll be looking forward to the Rift, a modifier, and an in-game event, and 2VA essentially. Now, a completely different topic. I feel like behaviour are in a difficult situation with the topic of tunneling and camping, as on one side people believe that it's fine, and on the other side people hate it and think it shouldn't be done, simply. I don't understand why it shouldn't be done, even though I play Survivor for the most part of my 200.5 hours of playing. As a killer, I feel like taking out the weak link is a valid strategy. However, the Survivor players decide that they want to complain about it and think that the strategy is basically only for worse killers or killers of less skill, which in no way is it. I think survivors need to understand that the game needs to be killer sided, and that sometimes they just aren't good enough at the game. However, I think some egos are too high for that. I could make a whole video on this, and I probably should since I haven't uploaded in a while, but that's just how I feel. That's enough of me digressing. Since I'm talking about Dead by Daylight, I have to talk about the crossovers. We've already seen icons like Ghostface, Michael Myers, and 2 popular Resident Evil killers. So who's next? Many people want Pennywise from It, the Candyman, and Slenderman. Beyond that, Behaviour could try out a series like American Horror Story or films like Jeepers Creepers and The Thing. Since Behaviour has proven they're willing to go after indie and blockbuster franchises, the possibilities for the next big license are practically endless. Now, I feel like to survive even longer, Dead by Daylight will need more than just new killers. After the community have had to stand up for themselves even more than they should have, I feel like Behaviour have realised that this and are working on making the game better. Not that I don't think that they already didn't know that. I don't see the game going in a new direction as of now, since players don't really have a noticeable problem with the core loop of fixing generators and escaping. Obviously, new game modes like 2v8 will be tested, but nothing major will happen in my opinion. I feel like they should expand more on the lore and perhaps have a story-driven experience in a separate Dead by Daylight game. However, I think this depends on whether they have enough workforce within Behaviour and money to do so. Now, tournaments still go on for the game, however they're all community made, just like Hens's Dead by Daylight World Cup, which is hosted by him on the 20th and 21st of September, at least that's when it starts. Links to the games will be in the description. I feel like Behaviour should put work into official tournaments, as the community actively has a competitive community and wants more or perhaps official tournaments to happen. I know that having somewhat of an esport would be kind of difficult for a game like Dead by Daylight, as certain rules would have to be set, and the game just isn't exactly that easy to transition into an esport. I just feel like more official tournaments would make more of the community happy. Something else repeated within the community is whether Behaviour will ever update the graphics of the game or perhaps use a new engine. Some people don't like the alleged old graphics of the game. I think that the graphics are fine how they are and there's nothing to complain about. However, that is my opinion, and some people like different things. Some people also think that the engine that the developers use to work on the game now limits how far they can innovate. I also feel like the updates that they can do with this current engine are completely fine. They can make the best updates ever, but again, that is just my opinion. In conclusion, I feel like there's definitely a path that Dead by Daylight is taking. However, I feel like we can't exactly tell what holds for the game specifically. But yeah, that's about it. Quick side note, I know I haven't uploaded in a while, but that's because I've been working full time in the summer holiday and I've been quite sick since I've moved back to my university. Now that I'm starting my first semester, I should be fine to start uploading again. But anyway, thanks for watching.